Welcome back everybody to another video, and today I've got the latest One Piece product from Japan, ST10. It is the Ultimate deck. This is the first Ultimate deck that we've got, and I'm really looking forward to getting into this and showing you guys amazing cards, including some of the amazing reprints we've got in here as well. Let's have a quick look at the box. Let's zoom out a little bit. So as you can see, it comes with a deck box. There is the back of the box that shows you all three leaders. We're not going to dwell on this too much. We're going to get into this and have a look for ourselves. So you guys might not have been aware, I pre-ordered this back in, God, I think it was February. Wasn't internationally shipping, so I had to get it shipped to my proxy address in Japan. And yeah, it arrived last week, but I just haven't had a chance to open it up. But we're going to do that right now. Go through with you guys and show you what you get. This product's going to be coming out in English as well. I think the anticipated release date is November, but for now we'll have a look at the Japanese product. As usual, you get a paper playmat in here, and on the other side you get the wonderful three leaders from this set. Trafalgar Law, we got Kid and Eustass Kid, and obviously Monkey D Luffy. And this wonderful deck box as well. As you can see, the deck box does have similarities to the leaders that you see, and the artwork obviously on the playmat. All three leaders portrayed on there, and you get a nice little divider card in there as well, which shows you all three from the cover artwork. Really nice, solid plastic deck box. Same material they use on their standard play deck boxes that you can purchase in stores. So yeah, that's really good. Okay, I'm gonna get the playmat out of the way because I think it's gonna sort of distract from the cards themselves. So let's have a look. Let's carefully slide this off. There's a bit of warping going on already, as you can see in transit, with the temperature changes. All foil deck obviously, and you do get a bit of warping, and then a little bit of a nick there on the Don card at the top. All foil Don, so you do get your 10 Don cards in here as well. The whole idea with this deck is there are three separate leaders, and you can choose to play the deck with whichever leader you choose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the deck to one side, and we'll just start looking at the cards one by one. So we'll start off with Law. I do like to play with the green and red Law, but this Law's a little bit different. Let's see what it does. It's got 5,000 power, comes with 4 life as you'd expect normally with the dual color. And this one is activate main once per turn, Don -3, which is typical trait for purple. You may return the specified number of Don cards from your field to your Don deck, if you didn't know what Don -3 meant. Place up to one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less at the bottom of the owner's deck, and play up to one character with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. So it's a bit of the shenanigans. We used to sort of like picking up one of our own cards and putting something bigger and better down, but this one is, hey, you put one of your opponent's characters to the bottom of their deck so it's not easily accessible for them, and then you play one of yours with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. Pretty good going. Nice card there. So that is Trafalgar Law. That's our first leader card. Then we've got our second leader, which obviously is Monkey D Luffy, as you would expect. Now, Monkey's a bit different. 6,000 life, as you can see, and 3 life. 6,000 power, 3 life. Activate main once per turn. If you have 0 Don cards on your field, or 8 or more Don cards on your field, add up to 1 Don card from your Don deck and set it as active. Interesting that. So it's saying, if you got 0 or you got 8 or more, you can start bringing Don out active from your Don deck. So that's pretty interesting mechanic, and you only start with 3 life, but very magic number 6,000. If Whitebeard's taught us anything, 6,000 power leader is a pretty good thing. Right, these cards tend to stick together. I did think that card felt a bit thick, so it wasn't thick. It is because we had Eustass Captain Kid right underneath Monkey D Luffy. Eustass Captain Kid is a 5,000 power, 5 life, which is unusual for a dual color, extra life than you would expect. and its effect is your turn. If you have 4 or more life cards, give this leader minus 1000 power. When attacking, Don -1, you may return the specified number of Don cards from your field to your Don deck, obviously. This leader gains plus 2000 power during this turn. So, it's all about when Kid is attacking, you can pump it up. Obviously, if you've got 3 or less life, you can pump it up to 7000. If it's 4 or more life, it will be 6000, because it'd be minus 1000 if you got 4 or more life, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's Kid. So that's our leaders out the way. So let's have a look at the other new cards we've got. So we have got Sanji, 4 copies of this wonderful holo. Everything's holo in this deck, as I've said. 6 cost, 6000 power Sanji, counter 1000. It's got an on-play. If your opponent has a character with 5000 or more power, this character gains rush during this turn. So rush is always super useful. And if you're going to be playing Sanji, it's a 6-drop. By this time, you're going to expect, possibly, if you've gone, I don't know, if you've gone first, then yeah, your opponent probably will have a 5000 power at least. Well, you're hoping so anyway. But yeah, that's pretty good to get rush 6000. So that's a pretty cool card. So we'll pop that down there. Then we've got good old Jinbei. Only 2 of Jinbei. Jinbei is a 2 cost 2000 power. It's got a Don ×1 when attacking. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2000 power during this turn. So that's pretty cool. So just stick 1 Don on Jinbei and you're reducing your opponent's power by 2000. You can obviously manipulate things with Jet Pistol with that as well. Use Atama to take things down another 2000. So you can see where we're going with this. You know, maybe you can during this turn it says minus 2000, so this can attack and then you can Vista. There's loads of different things you can do, but it's pretty interesting to see. Okay, we got 2 copies then of this 10 cost 11,000 Monkey D Luffy new card to this set as well. All these cards, by the way, are new to this set, ST10. There are some reprints which I'll show you, which I think come at the end of the deck. But this Luffy is a 10 cost 11,000, no counter, but it's got rush. And once per turn, when your opponent activates a blocker, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 8000 power or less. So you are literally being encouraged to not block, because Luffy's going to take out your big characters. Okay, so that is Luffy there. Our next one is Killer. 4 copies of Killer. What does Killer do? Effect, your turn, once per turn, when a Don card on your field is returned to your Don deck, which you'd expect with purple, KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 3 or less. That is pretty nice. It's once per turn, but that's pretty nice. You know, you're not exposing it by resting it or doing anything. It's just, yeah, let's get rid of something, yeah? Okay. Next up, we have got Sashi and Penguin. 4 copies of that. Let's see what this one does. It's 5000, 4-drop, 2000 counter on this one. And this one is on play. If you have 3 or less Don cards on your field, add up to 2 Don cards from your Don deck and rest them. So it's ramping your Don up. Obviously they come in rested, but still pretty nice. That's what purple likes to do. And then what have we got? We got 4 copies, 4 more of this wonderful card, which is Gene Bot. 5000 power, 4 cost to play. It's got a 1000 counter and it's on play. You may rest the specified number of Don cards from your cost area, add up to 1 Don card from your Don deck and set it as active. So that's pretty nice. So let's see what is next. Our next card is our first, well, it's our second SR, because we did have Monkey D Luffy as well, didn't we? We have got Trafalgar Law, and what does this law do? Well, let's have a look at what this law does. It's a 5,000 power, 4-drop, 1,000 counter effect. It's a blocker. After your opponent, we all know what a blocker is. On play, Don -1. If your opponent has 7 or more cards in their hand, trash 2 cards from your opponent's hand. So not only is it a blocker, but you can Don -1 if your opponent has 7 or more cards in their hand, and you can reduce the number of cards in their hand, which is always super useful. I do love hand control because, let's be honest, it is a game where the more cards your opponent's got in their hand, the scarier things get, because you're like, well, they're going to be able to counter stuff out. We don't want them to be doing that. So yeah. Cool. Heat is 3 cost, 4,000 power, and it's got an effect. Your turn once per turn. When a Don card on your field is returned to your Don deck, this character gains 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. So it becomes a 6,000 power, and it's still a 6,000 power during your opponent's turn as well. So that's pretty nice, pretty cool card. So 3-drop and it becomes a 6,000 very easily in a deck like this. Okay, next up we have got Beppo. Beppo is a 4-cost 5,000. You get 4 copies of it. It's a 1,000 counter. On play when attacking, if your opponent has more Don cards on their field than you, add up to 1 Don card from your Don deck and rest it. So you're accelerating and resting, but again, next turn that becomes useful. And if you are doing Don manipulation where you are having to put things back into your Don deck, you can put the rested stuff back. Remember that. So you're essentially not going to go negative, is if you understand what I mean. If you've been playing purple, you'll know what I mean. Eustass Captain Kid. This one's 8,000, 7 cost, and it's got no counter. On play when attacking, Don -1. Up to one of your leaders gains plus 1,000 power until the start of your next turn. So that's pretty nice synergy there with the Eustass Kid leader. So that's a pretty nice card to see. Okay, we've got Wire next. 4 copies of Wire. Wire has got blocker, and it's once per turn when a Don card on your field is returned to your Don deck, draw 1 card and trash 1 card from your hand. So not only is it a blocker, but it's also a way to filter through your deck and make your hand a lot more desirable by drawing 1, trashing 1. So that's pretty nice. Okay, then we move on to the events before we move on to the reprints. Our first event card is Gum Gum Giant Sumo Slap, which is a 1 cost, and it is counter up to one of your leaders or characters gains plus 2,000 power during this battle, and KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 2,000 power or less. Good to get rid of those little chump blockers, and also counter an opponent's for a very low cost of just 1. We've got another red event card here. It's Gum Gum Kong Gatling, and it's a 5 cost main, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 6,000 power or less, and it's also got a trigger ability as well. Up to one of your leaders gains plus 1,000 power until the end of your next turn. So yeah, you can use it in 2 different ways. Obviously if you get it in life you can activate the trigger, but it's a pretty big way to do. It's 5 costs, but it deals with the 7,000 power or less. Very interesting indeed. Okay, last card before we go on to those 2 wonderful reprints I was talking about. Punk Vice. Punk Vice? Yeah. 3 cost. Rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, and add up to 1 Don card from your Don deck and rest it. It's got a trigger as well. Add up to 1 Don card from your Don deck and set it as active. So yeah, that's a pretty useful purple card there as well. And then we move on to our wonderful 2 reprint cards. These are really, really nice reprints and fantastic alternative artworks. We've got Ronoro Zoro. This Zoro is the Rush Zoro that is super playable pretty much in most decks. Whoop, my light just fell down. That's not great. Very playable in most decks, and it's, like I said, 3 costs, 5,000, beautiful artwork, and it's the Rush Zoro, so it's got Rush. Great. I play this in my Law deck. It's a great card. I would suggest any red deck should have at least one copy of that in it. Talking about red decks, if you're playing any Straw Hat deck, you're going to need Nami. Nami's been a staple since the first set came out. Again, like Zoro, this is from OP01 as well. It's the Nami, and this is an alt art version of it, and this one is fairly straightforward. It's a 1 cost, 2,000 Nami. On play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal 1 Straw Hat Crew type card other than Nami, and add it to your hand. It got errated. It used to say Straw Hat type character, but it is card, so you can get events as well, or stages. Anything that's a Straw Hat Crew card. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So very good searcher. Great card, and great to see a new artwork as well. So there we go. That is this amazing new deck. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment below. If you like the content, please do consider subscribing as well. And I'll be back for more One Piece Pokemon content very, very soon. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.